Julianne, congratulations on the film.
Thank you.
I loved it. I love the science fiction supernatural stories. But let me ask you, do you get a thrill as an actress when you portrayed whoever to see the world through the eyes of the person that you are playing? And how does it work?
Absolutely. I mean, I think with any character, you have to find their emotional reality. And with this one, it was pretty easy because she's someone who's been, underground for 100 years or something, who the man she was in love with, like, dug a hole and put her in there. So she's furious, absolutely furious, and feels much maligned and is really ready to take things back for herself and her people, and to do it in a kind of a fantastical way, with great hair and makeup and crazy costumes, and being able to turn into like a dragon bird at the, it's sort of amazing.
Do you feel that with science fiction or supernatural stories, as an actress, you have more freedom because the reality that they create it has no limits?
It's true. It's their own. It's absolutely their own. And I think that's why we like them. Because it's a way to, mythology and fantasy we literalize feelings. So, you take an emotion, you make it very big. And so what if you are so angry, you're so angry that you can turn into a dragon? What would happen then? And then how do you get the dragon back in the box? And, so they're really all metaphors for feelings, for huge, huge feelings.
But do you think Mother Malkin is totally determined by the past?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's not someone,
She should let go.
You think she should let go? I know. But, she feels that it's been too much. There's been too much taken from her. There's too much taken from her people. She feels a responsibility to them. She wants to bring the world back to the way she remembered it, where she didn't feel like an outcast.
Would you say that, historically, in many societies, women with strengths have been considered witches?
Right.
Do you think that has to do with the patriarchal, the male supremacy society, or is too heavy of a question? Or?
It's a heavy question for a fantasy movie. I will say that, but I do think that it's interesting that we have this notion of witches, that somehow in every culture there's this, for when there are things that can't be explained, we blame it on witches, witchcraft, on ghosts, on, because we do have a need to literalize it, to understand it, to take it apart. I think we abhor, as much as we are intrigued by a mystery, I think we also abhor it, and we seek explanation all the time.
What's the biggest satisfaction that you get from jumping from one reality and the big screen to another?
I like story. I love narrative. So I think whenever I'm allowed to participate in a story, I feel like I can almost get inside a book or something. So it's kind of it's always been a very interesting experience for me.
How was your experience with Jeff? And he's not here today, but you are, which is great. He's very, I don't know.
He's amazing. He's an amazing actor, an amazing human being, someone I think he's a true creative, He's a polymath. He can act, he can sing, he plays the guitar, he does pottery, he draws, he's interested in people. He's endlessly curious. He's a really special person.
Do you ever think of your kids when you choose a story? Like, this would be nice for my kids to see?
Yeah, I do. Although they have less of a relationship to my work than they do to me just being their mother. I think that at the end of the day, my kids just want me to show up for them, in terms of, what I do. I'm curious what they'll think of this movie.
I mean, when you see the movie, this Mother Malkin turns a beautiful woman into a beautiful dragon too. It's an incredible thing to watch.
Yeah.
Did you know what was going on? I guess it was done after, or
we kind of knew a little bit. We didn't know what the final images would be. I mean, we would see we see some of the imagery, so we knew where we were supposed to go, and obviously some of it was echoed in my costume with the feathers and the darkness of it. What was interesting to me was performing the things where I was supposed to be kind of going in and out of shape-shifting. So, for example, when I'm being dragged by the chains along, and I turn go from the dragon thing back to the woman, back to the dragon, like that. Or there were times when I would walk up, they say, you're going to walk up this ramp, and on the fourth step, that's where you'll be transforming. So you had to go a certain speed so that they could do it correctly. That stuff was fascinating. It was a lot of fun to do.
You seem to choose very different kinds of stories, and where did your decision come from? Your heart, your brain, your more practical aspects, or?
It's usually based on what I respond to when I read something. Sometimes I'll read something and I won't connect with it, and I know it's not for me. And other times I'll read something right away and I'll be like, I like this. I can see, in this instance, I understood her dilemma. I liked the humor. I thought the character was funny. I liked the extremity of it. I love Sergei. I love Jeff. It all seemed to be a very intriguing package.
Was it interesting for you to play the super cruel women?
Yeah.
Who transforms into cruelty?
Sure. Well, also because I feel like from her vantage point, she feels that she's right. People have been so cruel to her and they've decimated her people. They've been, as far as she's concerned, they're an oppressed minority. So, there's that story too. What is good and what is evil, who is right and who is wrong, all depends on your point of view, doesn't it? It's all completely subjective.
Do you think we can change the perception of reality through movies a little?
I
or
hope
bring
so.
a different...
I think we can bring awareness to it. And one of the things that Jeff's character says, Gregory says to Malkin at the end, is that he has hope and belief in humankind, and he's the one that triumphs. And Mother Malkin doesn't believe in change anymore. She feels so defeated by it. So to have a character, even in a fantasy like this, to have a character say that they believe in the possibility of goodness and human goodness, I think it's a wonderful message to put out there.
And you have like 4 films out, or almost.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's great, but they're so different. How satisfied are you with the way your professional life is going?
I feel pretty good right now. I always feel best, when I'm working on things that interest me. So it's been nice that my experience in the last couple of years to have wonderful scripts with great actors and great directors, and to be able to feel creatively fulfilled. That's been a wonderful thing.
Is it complicated to click? I mean, you have worked with many directors, but lately you've done David Cronenberg, Sergei, to others. And is it hard to respond or to relate? It's like if I have a new friend every day, then I go, I don't know what,
It seems fast, I think, from an audience standpoint, but for us it's not, So if I'm working, when I work with David Cronenberg, it was, I received the script and started working on it, and it was several months of being in conversation with him and having fittings and going up to Toronto until we finally shot it. Me working solely on that for several months, and so then I'm done with it, and then I go on to the next thing. So it's not as quick as how we view movies. So it makes